almost embarrassed. If you look at a lot of public figures, the ones you read about that died of cancer, but it doesn't state what kind of cancer it was, a lot of times it's lung cancer, but they won't admit that it's lung cancer. But in our favor, we have undeniable, the cold, hard facts, the statistics. You can't argue with them. And when I've been up on Capitol Hill and I've been talking with the congressman, my co-founders, Kim Norris and David Sturgis, we've all taken trips up to D.C. and we've knocked on the doors of congressmen. And we'll take 3 or 4 days and we'll just go sit down and talk with them. And it's been very interesting because all but one office that we went into had somebody within that office that was directly affected by lung cancer. You know, either it's the health aide, their secretary, or the congressman themselves will tell you that, you know, my father died of lung cancer, and no, I didn't realize this. We've got to be able to get our statistics out there somehow. So what is it that we really want to do? You know, we can throw money at it, but unless we really have a plan, I don't know that we just need more funding. And I don't think that's the right approach to take, is just say, give me more money, because right now everybody is saying, give me more money. And people turn off on that. So I think we need to change the message. Do we really want to change the mortality of lung cancer? Okay? And we don't need to hit them up for money right off the bat. I think that's a wrong approach. But the biggest thing is we have to truly believe that we deserve this. I think the negative stigma that the cancer patients themselves feel also bleed over to our cause, to even the medical community. I don't know that we really truly believe we deserve it as a group. And I think we all have to be honest. You know, I mean, the breast people truly believed in their cause, and they got something done. And for us, I think our negative stigma kind of bleeds over into everything else that we do. We're too polite about this. You know, I've been several times to speak with the NCI directors, and they're like, well, we're not going to change the allocation of the funding. It's already set. We're not going to disturb it. And so many times they just tell us there isn't any money, and we're expected to politely leave the office. And I think we have to be a little more persistent than that. We don't have to be, we can be nice, but we can be persistent, and we don't have to just leave the offices. We have to decide what we're really willing to give up. What are we going to do to make this change happen? The inequities within lung cancer are here to stay unless we actually do something to change it. And with the funding cuts, it's going to take a very proactive group of people to do it. I've been told, well, it looks self-serving for us to go there and ask for money. And it is self-serving, okay? I'm not going to make any apologies about that. I've been told by the doctors, my researchers, I work with people in ECOG, I work on the spores, I've worked with NCI groups. And they say, well, when we ask for funding, when we're going to the NCI director, it looks self-serving, like we're trying to benefit ourselves. Well, you betcha. You know, we are self-serving, but what group hasn't been self-serving? There has never been a cause, if anyone can tell me a cause that has actually been successful in which it wasn't self-serving, I'd like to hear about it. Because they won't be successful if it's not self-serving. It has to be a passion. You have to truly believe in what you're doing. The AIDS movement, the Denver Principles, when they decided to come up with this, one of the things that they wrote in their Denver Principles was to be successful, the fight against the epidemic must include the people who have the disease as equal partners in the battle. We have to have a seat at the table. And their epidemic, if you just want to look for a second at their numbers, what they're calling an epidemic, they had, I have this number here, just found it last night, but their total deaths in 25 years, for a total 5 years, the cumulative deaths since 1981 was 565,000. think about what the total deaths were for lung cancer. Do you remember my slide yesterday from my last 8 years? Over 1,300,000 people died of lung cancer. We have an epidemic of lung cancer. The breast cancer advocate, Nancy Brinker, said we need to change the culture to eradicate the entire disease. She didn't just say that she wanted to change mortality. She didn't say she just wanted more funding. She wants to change the culture and get rid of this disease. She was passionate about it, and she was successful at it. So the NCI investment, if we just look there, they are the ones who should jumpstart this cause. And it's hard to get them to do it, but I think we can do it. The NCI investment for lung cancer actually decreased from 2003 to 2007. They gave lung cancer research $273 million in 2003, but only $226 million in 2007. At the same time, their budget was actually increased from $4.6 billion to $4.8 billion. Breast cancer, however, did see an increase in their funding. They went from 548 to 572. So you can see here that it can be increased even when they're telling you it can't be. You just have to get to the right people. And again, with our decrease in funding, our 5-year survival stays steady at 15%. Well, to me, it's unacceptable. If we don't do something, our next generation of people are still going to suffer the 15% survivability. It is an epidemic. It's a huge public crisis, which hundreds of thousands have already died, and we can no longer accept being told, no, there isn't any money left over. And it's basically what we're told. The NCI, the national government, is basically ignoring the largest cancer killer. And when I was speaking with the NCI director maybe 7 or 8 months ago, he said he would be happy to fund lung cancer if we could prove good science. And he's saying, well, our science isn't as good as breast cancer. Well, of course it isn't. You know, we haven't had as many researchers. We haven't had the same opportunities. It's the Institute of Health, and they should be jump-starting this cause. But we have to call for a reallocation of the research funds. And at some point, you have to just say it's not right to continue to fund other cancer groups at such a huge difference. The war on cancer must be focused on the greatest cancer killer. It's not a war of body parts. Again, when speaking with the NCI director at one point, he said, I'm not going to get into it with you on a war of body parts. It's just what's right, okay? It's being responsible. If you look at the cost of treatments, what we're spending on lung cancer patients, and you have to remember that they do not survive as long as other cancer groups. You know, our life expectancy is very short. It's less than 12 months in a lot of cases. And yet the cost of treatment is greater than any of the others with much longer life expectancies. So to me, it's just prudent. It's the right thing to do. So we have to come together on focused messages to start a movement. And last month, we took our first step in doing that. These 20 organizations that I was talking about, they're lung cancer foundations. We met in Dallas. It was with a Genentech grant, but we had 18 of the 20 foundations there. American Lung Association was there at this meeting. And one of the things that I asked, American Lung has really neglected lung cancer as well, mainly because we haven't been asking them to do anything about it. Their focus has been COPD, their focus has been asthma. And if you pull up their webpage, that's what the focus is. So I asked them not to neglect those, but to change your focus. And for the next 5 years, make lung cancer your primary focus. And just don't ask for money, but create the base. Put the knowledge out there. So many times I think, unless you're involved in lung cancer, you don't know these statistics. And I use myself as an example. I was a nurse.